When Ethan regained consciousness after the car wreck, a synthetic voice echoed in the confines of his skull. It informed him that his life was not his own, but a pre-written story in which he was merely a supporting character, a footnote in the epic romance of two other men. He was the wealthy patron of one of the protagonists, destined to be a stepping stone for their love, and ultimately to be driven to bankruptcy and suicide by the other. The system, as it called itself, offered him a way out, a chance to rewrite his tragic ending. He was, at first, convinced he was suffering from a concussion. He, a man of logic and education, a pragmatist who built a company from the ground up, would never engage in such melodramatic and destructive behavior. The system, annoyed by his skepticism, demonstrated its power. A notification illuminated his phone screen, a $10 million expenditure from his primary account. It was nearly all the liquid capital he had. The voice confirmed its responsibility, threatening immediate financial ruin if he didn't comply with the plot. Weighing the sheer insanity of the situation against the tangible loss of his fortune, Ethan relented. He demanded the return of his money and asked what he had to do. The directive was simple: sponsor the story's protagonist, Leo, for 1 year. They had to meet every single day. The reward for completion was $1 billion. A plan began to form in Ethan's mind. The system only stipulated sponsorship, not cruelty or obsession. If he treated Leo with respect, perhaps the other protagonist wouldn't feel the need to destroy him. It was a clear path to $1 billion profit. That evening, at 8 o'clock, he was directed to an exclusive lounge called the Gilded Cage. The air was thick with the scent of expensive whiskey and cigar smoke when he pushed open the door to a private suite. A group of young men, heirs to various fortunes, lounged on velvet sofas. Their attention was fixed on a man kneeling by a low table, forcing down glass after glass of amber liquid. $1,000 for every shot. One of the men, Ethan's own cousin, taunted. Let's see how much you can earn. The kneeling man's face was youthful, flushed from the alcohol, but his eyes held a sharp, defiant glint. Ethan recognized him from the file the system had provided. He asked the system for confirmation. A burst of static filled his head, followed by a fractured message confirming Leo's presence before the system announced it was going offline for emergency repairs. Ethan was on his own. In the time it had taken for the system to malfunction, Leo had downed another 5 shots. His body swayed precariously. Ethan strode forward and placed a hand over the glass as Leo reached for it again. "Who the hell are you?" A man with bleached blonde hair started to rise, but was pulled back down by his neighbor. Ethan's cousin stood up, his bravado instantly evaporating. "Ethan, what are you doing here?" The others rose in deference, murmuring greetings. Ethan ignored them, his gaze fixed on the man on the floor. He tilted Leo's chin up, studying his features. The fine structure of his bones, the fierce intelligence in his eyes. He found himself impressed. After a long moment, his cousin's nervous voice broke the silence, asking if Ethan was interested in him. Ignoring the question, Ethan looked down at Leo and asked his name. "Leo," the man managed to say, his voice rough. Ethan then asked if he needed money. Leo gave a simple, desperate nod. Ethan's gaze swept across the room, his voice leaving no room for argument. "He's with me." He pulled Leo to his feet and led him from the suite, leaving his cousin and the others in stunned silence. It wasn't until they were seated in the quiet luxury of Ethan's car that Leo seemed to process what had happened. He asked who Ethan was and where they were going. Ethan replied with a soft chuckle, noting that it was a bit late for such questions. Leo fell silent, a conflicted expression on his face. The car stopped outside a sleek Manhattan high-rise. Leo followed Ethan into the elevator and down the hall, but hesitated at the apartment's entrance, peering cautiously inside. Ethan walked in without looking back, and a moment later, felt a tug on his sleeve. The alcohol had softened the sharp edges of Leo's eyes, making them look vulnerable. He quietly asked if Ethan was really going to give him money. Ethan's simple yes seemed to be all the assurance he needed. He stepped inside. While Leo sat on the sprawling sofa in the living room, Ethan went to his home office to retrieve a file. A work call came in, and by the time he emerged half an hour later, Leo was passed out. A bottle of red wine that had been on the coffee table was now empty. As Ethan approached, Leo's eyes fluttered open. He struggled to sit up, reaching out and taking Ethan's hand. His words were a slurred invitation. Ethan couldn't help but smile. He had no intention of taking advantage of the man, no matter how perfectly he fit his personal aesthetic. Leo was destined for someone else, and Ethan had no desire to complicate the narrative. He placed a prepared contract on the table and lifted the surprisingly heavy man from the sofa, intending to carry him to the guest room. Just as he laid Leo on the bed, Leo seized his collar and pulled him down into a searing, clumsy kiss. Ethan was too surprised to resist. When Leo's grip finally loosened, Ethan pulled away. Leo stared up at him, a look of pure confusion on his face. Ethan pulled the duvet over him, his voice cool as he told him to get some sleep before returning to his office. He worked until 3 in the morning. When he woke late the next day, the scent of coffee and cooked food filled the apartment, but the space was empty. The sponsorship agreement on the coffee table was signed. Beside it was a note in neat handwriting, "Food's in the kitchen. I have a part-time job. I'll be back tonight." Below it was a phone number. The system had implied coercion, but Leo was being remarkably proactive. Ethan found it strange that he would sign the contract without receiving any money first. Still, it simplified things. $1 billion for a year of this was more than a fair trade. He came home late that night from a business dinner to find Leo squatting by his front door, a laptop balanced on his knees, typing away. He was dressed in a simple white hoodie and light-washed jeans, looking every bit the college student he was. He looked up as Ethan approached, closing the laptop. Ethan asked if he was working on his final thesis. Leo was a senior, after all. The agreement stipulated they meet daily, so Ethan had given him access to the apartment, even adding his fingerprint to the lock. Inside, Leo hesitated before speaking, his nervousness palpable. He asked if it was possible to get this month's payment in advance. Ethan knew from the system's file about his mother's illness and the crushing medical bills. It was why he had set the monthly stipend at $100,000, a sum he was certain Leo couldn't refuse. He told Leo to send him his bank details. After the transfer was complete, Ethan, exhausted from work and socializing, went to shower. When he came out, Leo was in his bed, looking expectant. Ethan told him no, that he should go to his own room. Leo's confusion was evident. He asked why Ethan would sponsor him if not for sex, claiming he could be the submissive partner, that he had even studied for the role. Ethan posed a question instead. What if, one day, he met someone he truly loved? Would he want this to be part of his past? The abrupt change in topic seemed to stun Leo. He considered it for a moment, then answered that if he were forced, he would hate it. But since he was doing this willingly, it was different. He wouldn't feel right taking the money otherwise. Ethan didn't understand Leo's reasoning, but saw an opportunity to set clear boundaries. He declared that for the year of their contract, nothing physical would happen between them. Afterward, they would go their separate ways, and Leo was forbidden from seeking revenge or causing him harm. A flicker of what looked like disappointment crossed Leo's face. He asked if Ethan was running a charity. Ethan, thinking about the 10-figure reward, couldn't honestly deny that his actions were essentially a massive cash giveaway. He closed his eyes and waved Leo out of the room. The $100,000 stipend seemed to weigh heavily on Leo's conscience. He began to make himself indispensable, preparing 3 meals a day, cleaning the apartment to an immaculate state, and even acting as Ethan's chauffeur on occasion. The constant pressure of running a startup meant Ethan was often working late, but coming home to a waiting presence was an unfamiliar comfort. In months when business was good, he gave Leo more money. At his grandfather's birthday celebration, the talk inevitably turned to Ethan's marital status. He deflected questions about a strategic marriage from his father and politely accepted a bag of medicinal herbs from his mother, who was convinced they could cure him. Later that night, his cousin, sensing his foul mood, took him out for drinks. After several glasses of scotch, his cousin announced he had a surprise. A group of young men and women were brought into their private room. The one leading them bore a striking resemblance to Leo. His cousin nudged him, remarking that he knew Ethan's type. The young man sat beside Ethan and tried to offer him a drink, but the door to the room swung open. It was Leo. He said nothing, simply grabbing Ethan's arm and pulling him out of the bar with a roughness that betrayed his anger. Back at the apartment, he slammed Ethan against the door. He was like a cornered animal, his voice trembling with rage and hurt as he demanded to know why that boy was acceptable when he wasn't. He asked why Ethan had sponsored him, why he watched him constantly from a distance. His voice cracked as he revealed that he knew Ethan came into his room every night after he fell asleep, yet remained so cold and distant during the day. Ethan reached up to touch his face, whispering that it was because there was no future for them. Leo didn't want an explanation. He kissed him, a desperate, frantic act, his hands exploring under Ethan's shirt. As the kiss deepened, Ethan's resolve began to crumble, but he forced himself back to reality. When Leo paused for breath, preparing to take things further, Ethan slapped him across the face. While Leo was stunned, Ethan gathered his strength and kicked him off the bed. Leo collapsed to the floor, uncomprehending, as Ethan straightened his rumpled shirt. He wanted to explain everything, the system, the pre-written future, but the words wouldn't come. Defeated, he left the room, telling Leo to get some rest. He found Leo waiting for him outside his office. Leo apologized for his actions. Ethan told him it was fine, but that it couldn't happen again. As he tried to walk past, Leo grabbed his hand. His gaze was intense, his tone solemn and earnest. "Ethan, I'm in love with you." He didn't wait for a response, continuing in a rush. He claimed to have fallen for him the moment they met, that signing the contract was just an excuse to be near him. He begged Ethan not to abandon him. The sincerity in his eyes was disarming, but Ethan couldn't give him the promise he wanted. He knew the story's ending. He looked away, his voice flat and final. "This is a financial arrangement, Leo. Nothing more. When the contract is up, we are done." His words seemed to have little effect. Leo continued to cook his meals and maintain the apartment. But now, his efforts were accompanied by a relentless campaign of seduction. He would send a photo of the lunch he prepared, a corner of the image artfully capturing his toned abdomen, with the caption, "I'll be there soon, handsome." If Ethan came home early, he would find Leo cooking with no shirt on, just an apron that did little to hide his muscular chest and abs. It was a constant, tantalizing display. To curb this, Ethan decided to make him busy. He knew Leo had founded a small gaming studio that had produced a few well-received indie titles. He became the studio's first angel investor. Driven by the influx of capital and Ethan's connections, Leo became consumed by his work. They would leave the apartment together in the morning and return late at night. The time they spent together decreased, but Leo's daily declaration of "I love you" remained a constant. He used his new income to buy Ethan gifts. Ethan, in turn, brought Leo to industry parties and investor meetings, introducing him to key players. Leo quickly grew from a silent observer at Ethan's side to a confident entrepreneur who could command a room. After one such event at a hotel owned by his friend Pierce, they both drank too much. They ended up in the presidential suite, where a drunk Leo was even more endearing than usual. He clung to Ethan, murmuring a stream of compliments and affections, his eyes red-rimmed as he begged him not to leave him. Ethan's defenses finally crumbled. The next morning, a sliver of regret mingled with the memory of the night. As Ethan was brushing his teeth, Leo came into the bathroom and wrapped his arms around him from behind, nuzzling his neck like a puppy. His voice was small and laced with anxiety, admitting he had woken up and panicked when Ethan wasn't there. Ethan felt a wave of frustration. He couldn't explain the system, the plot, or his fear that their present happiness was just a fleeting mirage. That night, he met his friends, Pierce and Zach, at a bar. He was drinking moodily when Zach clinked his glass against his. Zach asked if he was still with the college kid, mentioning he'd seen him dropping something off for Ethan after a project meeting. Ethan sighed and lied that they had broken up. Zach didn't believe him, claiming to have seen someone who looked just like Leo taking out the trash from Ethan's place. Pierce, ever the instigator, chimed in, mocking Ethan for giving a guy he'd been with since he was 18 no official title. He reminded them all how Ethan had defied his family and started his own company just to prove a point in a bet related to his relationship. Pierce then turned his teasing on Zach, reminding him of his own decade-long unrequited crush. The banter continued for a while before Pierce had to leave to meet his own goldfinch, and Zach was called away. As he left, Pierce clapped Ethan on the shoulder, telling him he thought too much and wasn't brave enough. His words hit their mark. Ethan drank alone for a while longer before deciding to leave. As he approached his car, he saw a familiar figure squatting beside it. It was Leo. He had come because Ethan was late and he had been worried. Ethan tossed him the keys and got into the passenger seat. The drive was smooth, and Ethan drifted off. He heard Leo ask quietly if they had known each other before. No, Ethan answered, his voice thick with sleep. Leo pressed on, asking if he was sure. Yes, Ethan confirmed. Leo was quiet for a moment before whispering, "Okay, I love you today too." In the gentle music playing from the speakers, Ethan fell completely asleep. He dreamt of their real first meeting. It was winter. His father had donated a building to his alma mater, NYU, and Ethan had attended the dedication ceremony in his stead. He'd been asked to give a speech to the students. That's where he first saw Leo, a freshman and a student council volunteer, earnest and focused. Ethan was struck by his face and remembered his name. He'd agreed to a photo with him and had given him a book, inscribing on the flyleaf, "Have the courage to rise." He thought that would be the end of it, but weeks later he went hiking upstate with friends and was caught in a sudden blizzard. Separated from his group, with no signal, he stumbled upon an old, abandoned church. Just as despair set in, Leo appeared as if from nowhere. His family lived on the mountainside, and he had come looking for his dog, which often wandered to the old church. He took Ethan back to his home. The blizzard had blocked the roads, so Ethan stayed with Leo's family for 2 weeks. There were no spare rooms, so he shared a bed with Leo. He remembered the incredible warmth radiating from Leo's body, how he would unconsciously move closer to him in the cold nights. They talked for hours about Leo's dreams and ambitions. He met Leo's mother, a gentle but strong woman who clearly adored her son. When the roads were cleared, Ethan insisted on visiting the new church at the top of the mountain, which was said to have a shrine where prayers were answered. Leo went with him. Ethan prayed for safety. Leo, only 18, prayed for love. When they finally left the mountain, Ethan offered the family money for their kindness, but they refused, asking only that he look out for Leo in the city. He had agreed, opening doors for him and introducing him to influential people. Leo was brilliant and capable, and soon after, he confessed his feelings for Ethan. Ethan, unable to deny his own attraction, had said yes. He felt himself being lifted. It had to be Leo. He was home. He should have opened his eyes, but the feeling of being held was a long-lost comfort. He was placed gently in bed. He heard Leo leave and return a moment later, placing a glass of water on the nightstand. The room fell silent, but he knew Leo was still there, watching him. A phone call woke him in the morning. His grandfather had collapsed. He rushed to the hospital without a second thought. By the time he arrived, his grandfather was stable. After spending some time with him, he went to his office, where a breakfast container was waiting on his desk with a familiar note. "I love you today, too." His assistant remarked that Ethan's chronic stomach issues had vanished ever since his housemate started delivering his meals. A week later, his grandfather was discharged to a premier rehabilitation facility. While visiting, Ethan saw Leo with his mother, who was in a wheelchair. He overheard their conversation. Leo was asking his mother if he had forgotten someone important. He confessed he was in love with a man. He described the overwhelming joy he felt just by being near him. He told her about all the things this man had done for him, from funding his studio to arranging for her place at this very facility, all without taking any CR. He pulled out a worn book, the one Ethan had given him, and showed her the inscription with his name and the date. He asked if she knew an Ethan Hayes. His mother sighed. "So you two again." Leo seized on the word again, his voice rising with excitement and dawning realization. "So we were together before, weren't we?" His mother looked at her son sadly, asking why he couldn't just love a woman. But Leo was firm. He loved Ethan not because he was a man, but because he was him. He admitted Ethan hadn't accepted his confession yet. His mother stroked his face, her voice soft with resignation. She spoke of her own regrets, of a life too short to be spent with regrets. She told him she respected his choices and wanted him to be happy. Leo smiled, and she smiled back with maternal love. Ethan, watching from a distance, felt a smile spread across his own face and quietly walked away, his steps lighter than they had been in a year. Time accelerated, and suddenly the final day of the contract arrived. It was also the day Leo was fated to meet the other protagonist, Julian Croft. And it was Ethan's birthday. Before leaving for a mandatory industry gala that evening, Ethan told Leo that their contract was over, their sponsorship arrangement terminated. Leo's face fell. He threw his arms around Ethan, pleading not to be pushed away again. At the gala, Ethan spotted Leo across the room, looking sharp and confident in a tailored suit, networking with potential investors. When Leo saw him, he broke away and came over, greeting him with a deferential, "Mr. Hayes." The original plot flashed in Ethan's mind. Leo would be drugged, rescued by Julian, and their story would begin. He felt a desperate need to warn him, telling him not to touch any food or drink, especially from strangers. It was too late. Leo held up a nearly empty glass of champagne. Ethan's heart sank. He asked if Leo felt unwell. Leo shook his head, looking fine. Just then, Zach appeared to introduce Ethan to an important client, and he was pulled away. Later, He scanned the crowd for Leo and couldn't find him. A knot of anxiety tightened in his stomach. He found Pierce and asked him to check the hotel's security feeds. A few minutes later, Pierce returned and handed him a key card. Room 513. Someone saw him being helped in there. He offered to go with him, but Ethan declined. He swiped the card and entered the darkened room. Leo was lying on the bed, alone. As Ethan approached to wake him, Leo's hand shot out and grabbed his wrist. His skin was burning, his eyes glazed over. He had been drugged after all. He pressed his face against Ethan's neck, his voice a hoarse whisper. "Ethan, I feel sick." Ethan told him to hold on, that he'd take him to a hospital. But as he reached for his phone, Leo pulled him down onto the bed, his breath hot on Ethan's face. In the ensuing struggle, the door opened again. A man stood silhouetted in the doorway. Leo, with some remaining shred of control, released Ethan. "Wow," the newcomer said, stepping into the light. "No wonder I couldn't find you, Mr. Hayes. Allow me to introduce myself. I'm Julian Croft." So this was it. The other protagonist. Ethan sized him up. He was handsome, with an air of effortless charisma. Julian held up his hands in a gesture of surrender. "Don't worry, I'm not here to steal your man. I'm here to deliver a birthday present." He tossed a small vial to Ethan, placed a key card on the nightstand, and turned to leave. "Give that to him. You'll be surprised." The door clicked shut. Ethan looked at the vial, then at Leo. He asked if he wanted to drink it. Leo simply wrapped his arms around him again, murmuring that he would do whatever Ethan said. "Then drink it." The vial did not cure the drug's effects. Instead, it unleashed a new, feverish energy in Leo, and with it a torrent of memories. In the final minute of his birthday, Leo leaned close to Ethan's ear, his voice full of reverent love. "Happy birthday, my love. Let's never be apart again." When Ethan woke the next morning, his mind was flooded with the familiar static of the system. It was screeching, asking what they had done. It demanded to know if Ethan was aware that he had just slept with the main protagonist. Ethan's only thought was that yes, he was very much aware. The system wailed that his mission was a failure, that the $1 billion were gone. Ethan replied that he didn't care. As the system devolved into a panicked tirade about its performance metrics, Ethan sent a silent thank you for giving him the courage to find his way back to Leo. The system shrieked one last time about the deviousness of humans before its presence vanished from his mind for good. Leo stirred beside him, pulling him back into an embrace. "Morning, Ethan," he mumbled. Looking at the marks that covered his own body, Ethan replied softly, "Morning, my Leo." Later that day, they met Julian at a quiet cafe. "Sorry I'm late. Traffic was a nightmare," Julian said, sliding into the booth. Ethan and Leo exchanged a look. Ethan asked why Julian had accepted his money. "To stay away from you two for a year," Julian admitted with a grin. "Funny thing is, he nodded at Leo, paid me for the exact same reason. Who am I to turn down a double payday?" He then produced 2 more vials from his pocket. "This will solve your problem permanently. It'll remove any last traces of the narrative. The system, the plot. It'll all be gone." They drank the liquid. Ethan felt a strange sensation, like a string being snipped inside his mind. He blinked, looking at the man across from them with a sense of mild confusion. Julian smiled. "Just sharing your table, hope you don't mind." Ethan shook his head, and taking Leo's hand, he led him out of the cafe. After they left, a new voice, audible only to Julian, spoke in his mind. "That was a lot of points to spend on those potions, more than they paid you. Why run your business at a loss?" Julian shrugged. sipping his coffee. You wouldn't understand. It's better to build a bridge than to tear one down. Now shut up. We have more points to earn.